Welcome to Waterloo Human Rights in a hot Mississippi Minute. I'm your host, Abraham L. Funches Jr., current executive director and a local pastor in the area. And today we want to take a moment to talk to you about an interesting task force on gun violence. Some of you may have already heard about it, but others of you are still not in the know. And I hope to change that today by spending a few moments to let you know a little bit about what City Council has done, where human rights is, and then what other leaders in the community are working on. Because certainly, as of late, we've had a lot of gun violence in the community is abhorrent. And of course, we want to change that. And so I want you to know that back in September of 2022, we had City Council pass a proclamation, a resolution that read like this. Whereas our community was recently struck with another death by gun violence, whereas we have lost too many due to gun violence in Waterloo, whereas the City Council recognizes that gun crimes have been committed in our community and represent a real threat to the peace and livelihood of our citizens, and whereas structural and systemic issues around race and poverty play a significant role in creating a climate for gun violence, whereas any loss of life to gun violence is unacceptable, now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of Waterloo, Iowa, as follows. And then there was this creation of the task force that is supposed to help address and redress the issues, whether they be systemic, structural, or other, related to gun violence. Well, I want you to know that that task force is up and running. Human Rights is a member of the task force, along with the Waterloo Police Department, Black Hawk County Public Health, Black Hawk County Sheriff's Department, the Ruth A. Thompson Center for Violence Prevention over at UNI, and those with special knowledge pertaining to gun violence and its root causes. Ladies and gentlemen, I know you've heard this a few times mentioned before in the community, perhaps over the last 50 plus years, ever since the assassination of Dr. King, and obviously even prior to that. But as of late, the socio-political conditions in this state and of course around the nation have made living challenging, especially when you consider that people are still struggling without a living wage. Especially when people are still losing their benefits for reasons that are beyond their control, especially when you consider that the Poor People's Campaign is making some headway and bringing more and more attention to the fact that in a democracy where the wealth is polarized at different ends of the pole, some are extremely wealthy or either others are extremely poor. It is high time that we begin to try to redress some of these issues that are structural and systemic in nature, quite frankly, so that everybody can enjoy a quality of life where human rights comes in at. Well, with respect to the task force dealing with gun violence, we want you to know that we have another meeting coming up on Wednesday, May 17, and we think you should be there. But on Wednesday, May 17, beginning at 5:30 at Jubilee UMC Freedom Center, we hope to have a vibrant discussion around solutions to the problem of gun violence. Now, as we've already mentioned, in the last 10, 15 days, and of course, we don't know what's going to happen after this broadcast, but we've already lost significant life. And of course, we're hearing about other shootings that are taking place in the community. The relevant question becomes, what are we going to do about it? Now, of course, churches everywhere can continue to do what they're doing. They're preaching a message of love and harmony, and God knows we need that more than ever. But at the same time, we're going to have to do more than just stay inside those four walls. We're going to have to come out and work with policymakers, like this task force, for instance, to come up with solutions to the problem of gun violence happening in our community. I know some of you are already tired just hearing about the idea of another task force that's formed to try to address and redress another problem in our community that's been with us for a long, long time. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, yes, we are. We are asking you to do that because we have no other alternative. We need you. We need you now more than we ever did before. And so what I would like for you to contemplate over the next few minutes, days, leading up to May 17 at 5:30 at Jubilee UMC Freedom Center. And the chair, by the way, of this task force is Councilperson Jonathan Grider. But we hope that you will come out because some of the solutions that we've already kicked around are solutions that look like this. Suppose we had a big TikTok convention, dance convention, where the best and brightest of our youth, west side, east side, north and south, congregate somewhere, perhaps determined by the Waterloo school system. And we have not just 1 week, but all weeks throughout the summer, a TikTok dance competition that allows our babies, whomever they might be, to demonstrate to us how creative they can really be. And perhaps there can be a prize dedicated to them for the degree of creativity and the energy expended when they demonstrate their dance. Perhaps we will learn how to allow the evolution of this TikTok competition, to manifest in such a way where we can even become more creative as time goes on. I don't know. Maybe we can have the Waterloo studio there to capture all of this creativity and this magic on film so we can go back, rewind it, and look at it again. Just a thought. Perhaps we can pull our teachers together and, I don't know, help us engage in different dances at strategic places around the city. We do know that the Gallagher Blue Dawn is doing something on that level right now, and we applaud it. The only thing about that, of course, is that a lot of times people have great ideas and they engage them, but it only lasts for a moment compared to what seems like an eternity of a summer where all kinds of things can happen. What we're suggesting is that we somehow multiply the efforts made by the Gallagher Blue Dawn, made by the school system, made by some of these decisions that might come up with the task force. By the way, the best practices, the solutions, the resources that the task force is going to come up with will be presented to City Council in September of 2023. So you can see there's quite a bit to do. And here's another idea. I am interested, quite frankly, in looking at guaranteed income as a possibility, as solution to this structural and systemic problem of poverty, which we understand is a root cause of some of the gun violence. Perhaps we can very simply put a fence around places like St. Mary's to make sure that people are not running in and out of a dilapidated building and strategizing in there while nobody sees them or understands them. And in the meantime, they're hurting themselves. Asbestos is in there. Unfortunately, interpersonal relationship violence can occur while in there. So we probably need to put a fence around places like that to prevent people from getting hurt or strategizing to hurt someone else in an abandoned building, one of many that are currently extant in the city of Waterloo. These are just a few of the ideas that we have been throwing around, tossing around, and we know that you have many more of them. So please come to the meeting Wednesday, May 17, starting at 5:30, and if we have to go over a little bit, well, that's fine, but we certainly need you to be there. And if you have any questions, you can always connect with the Waterloo Commission on Human Rights at 319-291-4441. But it's time for me to sign out. I hope that you will check me out next Wednesday, May 17 at Jubilee UMC Freedom Center. You just been hit by Waterloo Human Rights Commission. And this is in a hot Mississippi minute. Thank you.